also hate pharmaceutical companies to the core, and I think that they do more damage than good.
J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 11th day of September. This show is dedicated to the family of Charlie Kirk. I got a phone call from my friend Dan Sutterfield. He was the first person to notify me about Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And it will be burned in my memory, just like where I was when I found out President Kennedy was being shot, had been shot. The same thing with 9/11/01. It will change my memories forever. How about you, Doctor?
Yeah, John, my wife and I were just shocked. We cried, and it's despicable. It's the most unconscionable action, but it also speaks to what we've been talking about on this show. You know, we've been warning people about the likelihood of these kinds of events, particularly I've been saying and arguing and still working diligently on exposing the demons who are actually behind this. You know, I mentioned last week on the program that we're really dealing with an elephant obviously in the room, standing on the table of the Trump administration officials. Every time they have a board meeting, this elephant sits right on top of it. And that elephant is, I've titled it depopulation elephant. So the depopulation elephant is alive and well. And Charlie Kirk's demise, in my opinion, because this was a genius in the realm of turning points. He accurately diagnosed that if we want to save America, make America great again, that the turning point would be in the youth. Beyond Charlie's foretold, foreshadowed, and prophetically foreseen assassination and martyrdom, the turning point would be his legacy in righteously inspiring the world's youth with the love of God, family, and truth. Above all, Charlie Kirk was an evangelistic minister who operated under the influence of Jesus by divine design and assignment to fulfill prophecy and God's word and creative language. Charlie Kirk was a masterful communicator and Christ-like figure, heralding God's great news, the gospel, turning from evil, the essence of repentance. That means turning from deep state mass-mediated, criminally enslaving behavior, our deadly sins. Fundamental to this is free, honest, truthful, and loving, respectful communication and dialogue. Language that creates rather than destroys. That's why Charlie Kirk was killed, for modeling that righteous behavior, for reorienting us to the gospel, to the great news that shall set us free. In other words, we the people killed Charlie Kirk as much as the gunman because of our acceptance of sin and tolerance of fascism and sin. Charlie died for our reckless and degenerative neglect of the deep states and CIA's unbridled influence over our lives, over our media, over our minds, over our bodies, and our misbehaviors. For example, Charlie was assassinated for exposing the truth about Big Pharma's untrustworthiness and deadly vaccines and drugs. His spoken words were powerful, as all language is.
And by the way, the most vaxxed countries in the world, Israel and Gibraltar, have the highest COVID rates of any countries in the world. India, third world country, widely distributed ivermectin, widely distributed hydroxychloroquine and vitamin D, plummeted COVID rates almost overnight in the province of Uttar Pradesh.
Language is a creative technology. Charlie sought to be remembered for his courage and faithful correspondence, loving words in the face of opposition and hate. He modeled Christ-like empathy for the ignorant, even the demonically possessed. He was an inspired scholar, social influencer, and genius who correctly taught us that you can't have liberty or a prospering nation without Christianity. That's what the Founding Fathers knew. That's what the Constitution and our human rights are all about. Along with our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If you do not know this, appreciate this, and honor America's faithful foundation in God's love and laws, then you should not live here as an immoral outlaw. Charlie Kirk worked to convert and welcome you with this truth. Charlie celebrated every moment spiritually inspired by Jesus. His love from and for God, family, and America, the beautiful, was outstanding. Charlie was our master deprogrammer, bursting faithless denials of God among false doctrines transmuted by common sense discussions. In this way, Charlie was like Jesus, who died for our sins. The main challenge in the assassination of Charlie Kirk identifies a complex conspiracy rooted in the CIA and deep state globalist agendas that include destruction of the nation and its foundation in Christian ethics, morals, and laws in favor of insanity, hypocrisy, sexual perversion, drugs, and vaccines. This FBI, CIA, and deep state complicity is confirmed by their influence over the fake news media, their messaging and censorship, especially surrounding Charlie Kirk's opposition to racketeering in profitable population control, COVID, the lab-engineered virus, the vaccination risks that Charlie Kirk openly opposed as unrighteous, ungodly, and deadly. It is public knowledge that the CIA oversees the CDC, public health, disease outbreaks, pandemics, and much of the media messaging for allegedly national security. This is virtually the same CIA, intelligence community, and media propaganda devil-doers that targeted Trump with the Russian dossier seditious conspiracy to steal the election. This is the same CIA that oversaw the false and misleading messaging regarding COVID. The CIA that oversaw the FBI targeting Charlie Kirk and Turning Point in Project Arctic Frost. Evidence for this is all over the internet, published mostly by deep state propaganda mills that smeared Charlie Kirk for allegedly spreading misinformation. Getting to the colleges, which is the seat of communistic propaganda and transformation of our society into a fascist state that is demonically controlled. Above all, we're dealing with Satan. You cannot make it up. You can't get around it. And it's not just obviously an individual shooter. This tragedy implicates the CIA, the intelligence arm of the national security state, that despite monitoring internet threats and lying about virtually everything important, such as the lab origin of COVID and the pandemic, is erroneously presumed to have completely neglected the dark web, abuzz with militarized transvestites, hatefully plotting per Antifa and Trans-Tifa to defeat fascism that they delusionally projected onto Charlie Kirk. We've become a lawless nation with the left's madness and criminal psychopathology, fueled by Satanism, spiritual warfare, psychosocial pathology, drug and internet addictions, breeding violence, isolationism, nihilism, narcissism, degenerating traditional families and family values, destroying righteous respect for common sense values, such as encouraged by the Ten Commandments and the United States Constitution, fueling meaningless existence, self-loathing, petty and divisive jealousies, precluding pro-social interaction and civil debates and discussions, all compounded by violence on television and the social media, with each villain modeling the helter-skelter of civil degeneration and destruction of America that the CIA and deep state devil-doers celebrate for more profits, power, and global control over the new world order in managed chaos. I was watching all the news networks yesterday, every single one of them. I found it very difficult. My signal from Fox was constantly going down. It was overwhelmed but Russian television was heavily advertising and covering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And what was it saying as coupled with that? That this is the downfall of the United States of America, that this is going to generate civil war and a degeneration of society because of the divisiveness. That's Satanism. That outcome is satanic. And the fundamental elements of that is power and control, blind, deadly power and control that's based on profit off of humanity's suffering. That's genocidal. That's pan-genocidal. That's COVID. That's COVID-19. That's the COVID vaccination. World-leading program here, John, placing you and I at equal risk of Charlie Kirk in being assassinated for being a truth teller and being some people who are out there literally at the forefront of trying to wake people up and make a difference to make America great again and have a nation under God, not under Satan. This is really what we're looking at. It's absolutely unconscionable, beyond our heartfelt, loving infancy. We, the people, we, the good people, the white hats, are loving people. This is not loving. This is disgusting and hateful. This is satanic. What's unfolding has been prophetically seen. We're living out the book of Revelation. We've said that a number of times over the years, but nothing seems to be changing. And why I say that this is happening, because we the people are not realizing or accepting the fact that we have, even in the Trump administration, gross infiltrations of devil doers. I've said how many times, John, we've got to completely eliminate the Central Intelligence Agency. The Trump administration cannot move forward with MAHA or MAGA with the CIA operating. You can't have a righteous and effective government when from the demonic darkness it is controlled by a shadow government, the CIA, and corrupted governors. In the old days, the CIA created Manchurian candidates to assassinate opposition and foreign leaders. They used drugs, mind control techniques, conditioning, instilling hate and justifications for killing targets. They used subliminal messaging and programming through old media technologies. Today, they wield big tech, big media, the pharma media, and regulate and feed the social media to encourage hate speech and the making of thousands of Manchurian candidates like Tyler Robinson, especially in impressionable lost souls, psychotropic drug users, iPhone addicts, and free speech abusers, especially among susceptible media-programmed youth. As far as I can see, the CIA-controlled media, along with compliant, corrupt, complicit, and ignorant politicians, are aiding and abetting, murderously influencing, and criminally inducing masses of college and university students to adopt the roles of armed assassins, vicarious, virtual, proxy Manchurian candidates, acting to destroy lives, God lovers, Christians, Jews, Catholics, even righteous Muslims, and our great, ignorant, and besieged nation. What are we looking at here, John? Over and over and over again, it's the same thing that we're looking at with COVID and the COVID vaccinations, intoxications, the clot shots, the cancers, the COVID cancers, the long COVID. Very profitable, very deadly. In the era of depopulation, where Bill Gates says we need vaccinations to eliminate at least 15% of the population. And as AI advances, the most advanced technologies that we even see in the vaccinations, we see no attention whatsoever. Complete blackout, complete censorship of graphene and the nano, neuro, bio, electronic devices in the vaccinations. Who developed these? We've said how many times on this program I've mentioned you got to go back literally to Moderna's founding. You got to go back literally to 2013. AstraZeneca joins in as directed by who? Robert Langer? Robert Langer, who worked with Charles Lieber at Harvard and MIT to develop this technology. The real reason Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein went to Harvard and MIT for investors. The nano, neuro, bioelectronic injections, intoxications for depopulation, population controlled, and what Elon Musk calls the Neuralink, the brain-cloud connection. Such small, tiny, little microchip-like nanobot particles growing, self-assembling in your body after injection. Where do you think that the heart diseases are coming from? The cardiovascular challenges, all of these athletes and young people and pilots dropping dead instantly, virtually, or soon after getting vaccinated. And the suppression of the toxic side effects. Is this loving? Is this normal? Is this satanic? Is it evil to the max? Who's profiting off of humanity's suffering? It's been designated the deep state, designated as the swamp, faceless, nameless. Excuse me, where's our Justice Department in bringing justice to the circumstances and protecting we the people and serving the functions for which the politicians were elected to secure our safety and health? Excuse me, what's wrong with this picture? And take a look at Charlie Kirk. The evidence is right there. Charlie Kirk, his death shows that the turning point is the focus of what's necessary for the cure. What's necessary is righteousness, godliness brought back into the youth, into the minds and hearts of the young people in this great nation, or once great nation. Yeah, we've got the Trump administration, and Trump is a master businessman, a genius in that field, making great deals, but is also a master at understanding how the mafia and the mob and the deep state actually operates. And he's a master at, beyond making deals, he's a master at media, mass media persuasion technologies. So, you know, although I have been praying for and voting for the president and thankful for Kennedy and the small gains that he's been making in bringing awareness to the issues with vaccination intoxications and the public health menaces, air, food, water, everything's poisoned. Why is America now virtually on the verge of extinction? Not from Elon Musk says, AI development and robotics substituting for workers and eliminating people, and the birth rates dropping dramatically, with America leading of infant mortality. Gee whiz, what's wrong? You got an elephant called depopulation. It's got a depopulation flag on the side of the elephant standing on the table when you have the Trump administration having their board meetings. You know, and covered by the news for transparency. Yeah, transparency? Are you kidding me? Where's the transparency on the graphene and the nano-neurobioelectronics of the vaccinations produced by Charles Lieber, who was arrested at Harvard? Charles Lieber, arrested at Harvard for Chinese espionage. At the beginning of 2020, January 2020, he's arrested. And then currently serves as China's #1 bioelectronics nano-neuro vaccination ace, because he can't be in America, because he was prosecuted and convicted, and he spent 2 days only in jail. The elephant for depopulation is a global elephant. It's a globalization. indicator. It's globalization. It's the new world order. It's the grand global reset elephant. It's standing right in our Justice Department right now. Censorship. Where's the transparency on the vaccination injuries? Kennedy's talking a little bit about it. You've got other officials who have come forward saying, I don't trust the vaccines anymore.
Vaccine harms.
We have not gotten full elucidation of the risks of these mRNA vaccines. Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed that they've been vaccine injured. I take those concerns very seriously.
But you know what? I've been saying that for a quarter century. You can't trust any of the vaccines. Think of the insanity of us believing that any vaccine is good. Any vaccine, because every single vaccine comes out of the same elephant. It comes out of the same deep state. It comes out of the same deep state pharmaceutical cartel, which is actually the military, medical, petrochemical, pharmaceutical, banking cartel. It's one world government. It's one elephant. It's standing right in front of us. It's killing us. It's killing our friends, our families, our neighbors. It's killing Charlie Kirk. It killed Charlie Kirk. Yes, it's a turning point. Charlie was virtually beyond a genius, virtually a prophet. He prophetically predicted that the turning point of America for the good would be through the youth. Now we see Charlie Kirk's life gone. For what? A turning point into this darkness, into this evil, into this insanity, hypocrisy, manipulation, confusion generated intentionally for lacking transparency, lacking efficacy in law enforcement, fundamental to godliness, righteousness, the United States Constitution that's based on reason, civility, love, and basically love for family. Love thy father, honor thy mother. Look at the degeneration throughout society. Look at the focus of the entire niggerism. You know, the word niggerism has been coined now by black
wise elders
who have now said the degenerative forces within the government of the United States has caused the black people to become literally disabled in so many ways. You know, the niggerization is fundamental to what we're witnessing, the divide and conquer. And no one can accurately claim that Dr. Leonard Horowitz is a racist, because I've done literally personally more to save black African lives and black people's lives than anyone on this planet. With my revelations in the book 1996 publication of Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola, I went to Africa. I spoke to the top officials in Africa about the demonic imposition of HIV/AIDS and the injections, intoxicating injections of the hepatitis B vaccines that Kennedy now says he's going to take off the market because of the mercury, or at least he's going to eliminate the thimerosal mercury that 20 years ago I had said, along with other colleagues, that this is poisoning the brains of the children before we had the current explosion in autistic spectrum disorder, burdening society to the max, burdening our families, burdening our educational systems for special education needs of this population. 20 years ago, my colleagues and I said, this is from mercury and methyl mercury. And as a dentist back then, I even was pulling out the mercury toxic fillings that the American Dental Association was saying is so wonderful for people. The mercury amalgam fillings that then would seep this methyl mercury every time you chew on anything. This is a satanic beast. And so the fact that you have Antifa, what is Charlie Kirk's number one likely murderers? What's their organization? What's dividing? What's taking the black people and Black Lives Matter? Hell, every life matters. Fetuses matter. Fetuses have consciousness. Fetuses actually move to music and frequency, resonance, and spoken words and language in utero. We're seeing an elephant, a depopulation, evil, demonically possessed, criminally psychopathic elephant, the elements of which we see in Antifa, even trans now, trans Antifa. Trans Antifa, are you kidding me? How insane can you get to normalize individuals, trans? This is why, and interestingly enough, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, what was the issue that he was discussing? Seconds after they opened the discussion on the trans shooters, he gets shot. If that's not indicative of what we're dealing with and the truth here, that should set us free, but we're so basically blind to it, blind to this elephant of depopulation standing on our living room table. Antifa and trans Antifa. Imagine normalizing individuals in society and educating our children. What kind of a turning point is that? To accept individuals who don't even believe that their bodies were appropriately administered. Their sex was appropriately administered by God. How insane is that? Now imagine self-loathing. Imagine the individuals now who pick up guns in the trans community because they're so self-loathing, they can't stand their own bodies.
So they strike out against others.
Now, I've said on this show, every single one of us on earth at this point, given the indoctrinations that we have received and the unfortunate parenting that we have endured, every single one of us have had experiences, have traumatic experiences, have developed neuroses.
Hopefully not psychoses.
And the neuroticisms include this issue of not accepting the goodness and glory within us, educating youth. I started out in following my degree in behavioral science, postdoctoral from Harvard, in this realm of educating children. I published in 2 different publications in the American Journal of School Health, the self-care motivation model for healthy human development. Think about it. Self-care motivation model for healthy human development. Literally teaching children, just like Charlie wanted to do, teaching children and youth how to become self-motivated,
Self-reinforcing agents for their own healthier, happier, more successful human development.
That was my contribution to solving the problems in society, just like Charlie Kirk was totally intending here with Turning Point. The fact we've got to reach the youth. So think about what killed him. You know, at the moment that he's discussing trans murders, mass murders by trans individuals, this whole concept of trans with trans-Tifa, Antifa, connected to Black Lives Matter, connected to the deep state's manipulation and decivilization of society, the destruction of America for globalization. The elephant on the table is obvious. And where are we? Where are our politicians? Where's Kash Patel? Where's Pam Bondi? Where's President Trump? They're looking at an elephant right on the table that's obvious and continuing with the charade. All of the vaccinations are untrustworthy. Look at what's taken place. Look at the pharmaceutical cartel. Do you think that any vaccination that they've given you is safe and effective without any risk-benefit long-term studies indicating that they're not killing and maiming more people than they're helping and saving? This is insane.
We have been media manipulated to become an insane society, with the CIA and FBI not securing national security, but killing it.
We are an insane society, so that the insanity stretches, the neuroticism and the psychopathology of the trans movement, whereby you don't believe that the proper sex, that you've inherited and that you've acquired the proper sex, that God made a mistake somehow. So now what you have is literally a self-loathing orientation where you've got to act out your punishment, your pain and trauma
On self and on others.
I've studied the FBI's official methods and materials in mass murders and serial killers. I've studied them. I've published in the field. The use of the motivational model for sexual homicide by the FBI, Quantico. Burgess and Ressler are the names of the geniuses at Quantico that showed us, demonstrated that these serial killers, these hateful people that can kill, that they're just acting out their own personal traumas early on in life. So look at Charlie Kirk's mission. Look at my mission. Look at your mission, John, to bring truth to light and educate people, particularly the youth, to become self-motivated, self-reinforcing agents for their own healthier, happier, more successful human development. The godly administration of the body temple, the spirit-filled body temple that we have, that we should be celebrating instead of murdering.
JP in Chicago, good morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. We are literally devolving. It's like idiocracy. Our whole culture is devolving. It's been done on purpose. So I have a question for you in terms of trauma-based mind control. Do you believe this is maybe a trauma-based mind control operation going on?
Well, I had the same thought, brother. That's, I don't raise it, or I hesitate. Let me say this. I hesitate to raise what you're talking about, because then you are susceptible to be called a conspiracy theorist, but when you start to look at not only the elements that we've been discussing here, the untrustworthiness, the absolute corruption within the pharmaceutical cartel, and the hiding, censorship, concealment of the nanobots that they've been injecting into, look at what they did with the black women. I have a friend, Ali Mohammed. He is the health minister for the Nation of Islam. I am smeared. Louis Farrakhan invited me personally to dinner because of my work on HIV/AIDS. So there's no black individual that can rightly call me a racist when I've been out there saving lives and basically educating the most influential black leaders on the planet. That's Dr. Leonard Horowitz. If you haven't heard about me, it's because they don't want you to hear about me. I've been censored every which way possible. By the grace of God, here you have John Moore, the intelligence briefing, bringing me to you. So the fact of the matter is that, yes, I have that same concern and consideration, because we're dealing with demonic individuals, psychopaths, that literally want to control every aspect of human life and human behavior. And the technology to do that is Charles Lieber's and Robert Langer's injection of the bioelectronic Neuralink devices that enable wireless control over people's thoughts and emotions. And so interesting, I thought the same thing that you thought. But I hesitate to bring it to light because, Dr. Horowitz is a conspiracy theorist. Says who? Says ChatGPT? Yes, that's what ChatGPT tries to disparage me. So Bill Gates' organization and Larry Ellison at OpenAI, their chat technology that Elon Musk calls the wrong hands, evil, potentially damaging and deadly hands, to be advancing the AI and the robotics. That's what you get when you try to search Dr. Leonard Horowitz on chat. You're right. You're right on.
It just shows you're over the target if you're being targeted, and you've been hit for a long time because you're right on target. One last thing, though, I think this is another form of mind control. You know, you go to the fluorinated water, the television, which is a bit mesmerizing device, programming your subconscious, you know, the GMOs, and now we got the vax with the 5G. This is like mesmerizing technology, MK Ultra on steroids. I mean, if they can control the internet body of things and put thoughts in your head, I mean, that's the creme de la creme. That they've been working at that for decades, and I think we're here, brother. I think we're here at the mark of the beast, and I think we're in the end times. That's just my theory.
It's common sense. It's right in front of your face. The elephant in the room, the depopulation elephant, is precisely what you're talking about. Just the fact that nobody's talking about what you just articulated beautifully. Look at the air, the food, the water, everything's poison. And what's the principal purpose is to control human beings. Well, where do you control a human being? Their brains. Intelligence, central intelligence must be controlled. And that's what they're doing with mass media persuasion technologies. And that's what we're doing, as you just pointed out brilliantly, with the food, the water, the air, the poisons, the AI now, the nanoneurobiologic links. Oh my goodness, to these vaccination intoxications. That's where we're at. That's the elephant. That's the depopulation elephant right on our table. Now, if the Trump administration doesn't do something about this in a big way, now, you know, you could say, oh, they've been rocking the boat, you know, and they're up against all odds. The damn CIA is infiltrated still. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have had this event that killed Charlie Kirk. The CIA operates the intelligence. It's manipulating the mass media to persuade us to accept what is unacceptable, insane, demonic. So yes, it goes to what I've been saying for years. The foundation of our actions is in behavioral science. What do they call behavioral science? A, quote, soft science. Oh, they claim, oh, it's not as hard as physics and mathematics and molecular biology. Oh, no, those are the real sciences, they tell us. Hogwash. You want to control human beings? You want to control civilization? You want a new world order? You've got to take over central intelligence and administer central intelligence. That's what they're doing. To the extent that we still have a central banking system, which is why the Treasury Department is really up in arms now, and the Trump administration is having its problems with Treasury, is because you've got the banksters, the multinational corporations. Look at Larry Fink, BlackRock. He's virtually got a partnership with every major corporation on the planet. Before Trump goes to the Ukraine and Zelensky and says, I want to work out a deal with you in Russia for the minerals in Ukraine, you've got Larry Fink from BlackRock making the same deal a year or so earlier, before Trump even deals this same deal. Larry Fink is the current now director of the World Economic Forum. Hello? Are you kidding me? Takes over for Klaus Schwab, a virtual Nazi who's literally controlling every population, including the black population, exactly as you said. You know, the systemic racism that we're discussing now, all these years, mass murder and Antifa and Black Lives Matter, all this garbage that they impose, these are behavioral ploys to divide and conquer. We, the people, being divided and conquered by stupidity, by literally neglecting common sense. Common sense. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Black or white, it doesn't matter. We're human beings. We're supposed to be living together under one nation under God. Come on, man. The focus and the target of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the focus of that is to destroy one nation under God. The elephant is absolutely just despicable. It's right in front of your face. And to the extent that we don't see it, is a mental impairment induced by central intelligence. You've got to literally go back and understand that behavioral science is the most powerful science for everything, because everything that matters, everything that actually happens because you have thoughts and emotions and images in your head. So if you want to control people, that's where you've got to administer your ploys, your messages. So I see that what they're doing, it's all behavioral science. Whenever they show over and over and over again this disgusting, despicable black man who stabs this beautiful white Ukrainian woman, modeling that criminal behavior for others to emulate. The media conditions weak, susceptible, soulless minds to likewise act violently. So what we're dealing with is mass media conditioning, its behavior. When they show these hideous characters killing people over and over and over again, you see them projecting this, broadcasting this. What is that doing? What is that doing to susceptible individuals? The hypnotronic technology of mass media, persuasion, social conditioning, psychopathology. They're literally imposing this. They're infusing this in society. They're degenerating society. So to the extent that we have no regulation over deep state's media manipulations, that is the fundamental area needing this purging. If you start to study Charlie Manson, recognizing that he was a CIA operative in Haight-Ashbury, they set him up to become the model for degeneration, for helter-skelter manipulation of society, to degenerate, to bring down the nation. That was Central Intelligence Agency. Again, every aspect of what we're witnessing now, we need to get rid of it, purge it. This is exactly what Jesus was talking about. If Jesus was alive right here, right now, today, he would tell you the same thing he told you so many years ago. You've got to come out of the insanity, the hypocrisy. Babylon is falling. This degeneration of the United States, which is the last bastion of freedom, it's written up in the book of Revelation. The great nation of China is going to come, and the dragon from the east is going to come and devour the last bastion of freedom in the west. That's exactly what's taking place today. That's the book of Revelation. We're playing it out. Above all, Charlie Kirk was an evangelistic minister who operated under the influence of Jesus. By divine design and assignment, to fulfill prophecy and God's word and creative language. Language, from early Bible times, has been used to divide, disable, and disempower people. Charlie Kirk committed his life to the alternative, to peaceful, productive, and unifying dialogue. His common sense advisements deprogrammed people, mostly young audiences, to celebrate faith and unification in our Creator and great American nation. He preached love, honesty, and truth instead of hate, nihilism, and living meaningless, soulless existences marred by diseases and suffering. The Creator's language is math. It never lies. Truthful knowledge about the Creator's word sets us free in resonance frequency of harmony, righteousness, and pure loving existence. That's what Charlie Kirk's assignment and mission, as well as passion, was all about. Only fools, ignorant psychopaths, and the demonically possessed read him wrong. That's why Charlie Kirk was killed, for modeling that righteous behavior, for reorienting us to the gospel, to the great news that shall set us free. Charlie died for our reckless and degenerative neglect of the deep states and CIA's unbridled influence over our lives, over our media, over our minds, over our bodies, and our misbehaviors. If you go back and study Jesus's prescription, you've got to come out of that insanity. You've got to come out of the hypocrisy. You've got to open your eyes to the full pleasure and celebrate the reality of God's presence in our lives right here, right now. John, you know it, I know it. We need a miracle to get us out of this mess right now.
We do. We need a miracle. We'll pray for that miracle, won't we, sir?
It's got to be metaphysically administered. It's got to be divinely inspired. Spirit, inspiration. Inspiration talks about energy. The miracle is 528. We've talked about that on the show. For those who don't know what we're talking about when we talk about 528 frequency, everything is frequency. In revival, we need to be in concert with that truth, with the divine, especially through music, devotional hymns, chants, and prayers. 528 hertz frequency is the miracle note of the original solfeggio musical scale. That's a whole other topic we'll leave for another day. Pure love, the universal healer, is 528.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next Thursday.
Okay, John.
Okay.
If you want to get vaccines, we should do it prudently, we should do it appropriately, we should do it smartly, but in the same way, we should also simultaneously respect medical freedom and religious conscience. The criticism is this: I'm not a scientist and I don't play one on TV, but I use human reason and one would say common sense to also ask the very simple question. The public health authorities got almost every major problem of every question of COVID wrong. Why should we continue to delegate trust to them? Trust is earned, it is not given.
And by the way, the most vaxxed countries in the world, Israel and Gibraltar, have the highest COVID rates of any countries in the world. India, a third world country, widely distributed ivermectin, widely distributed hydroxychloroquine and vitamin D, plummeted COVID rates almost overnight in the province of Uttar Pradesh.